That there is concern about community septic, and the use of it in this application. Article 15.4.3 states that an adequate and safe sewer system approved by DHEC shall be approved in all travel trailer recreational vehicle parking areas. I've included in your packet an email from DHEC confirming that the septic system used on this site that's been proposed will have to meet proper DHEC permitting to be in operation. Additionally, this type of system proposed for this site is by definition found in Article 2 of the LDR, not a community septic system. So it does not have to meet that requirement for the community system. And the recent ordinance piece that was passed will apply to this application. Additionally, the appellant has stated a concern over property owner, the use of property owner versus homeowners association in the notes on the plan. Staff sees this as a scrivener's error, and staff supports simply updating and revising this on the plan, but it does not suggest that the application violates the LDR as a whole, as it is a small scrivener's error and not a full violation of the ordinance. CQRL also claims concerns regarding density as a ground for appeal. This is not a valid ground for appeal, as it does not reference a specific section of the ordinance. However, the site is unzoned, and in the unzoned areas, there are no density maximums for RV park applications. This is probably related to an SAC comment that was issued by land development staff. And land development staff has clarified that they cannot limit the density on this application, and it's not a ground for denial of the application, but rather care should be taken in the permitting phase, which would occur after the preliminary approval phase for an RV park. Additional concerns by the appellant regarding Article 8.14. Site distance. The plan notes on it that site distance has been met and all SCDOT requirements will be met. SCDOT has stated that they would review the site distance in the permitting phase, and it would be based on the speed limit and traffic volumes for Fork Shoals Road, as well as ARMS manual requirements. In the end, SCDOT would not issue an encroachment permit unless that site distance was met. So in the preliminary phase, it's been noted by the engineer that it will be met, and that's shown on the plan. But SCDOT would then not issue an encroachment permit if it had not been met. Lastly, there were concerns about whether a traffic impact study should have been required by staff. SCDOT in an email to staff stated that the application did not trigger the need for a TIS. And additionally, a memo that you were sent earlier this week from Greenville County Traffic Engineering staff supports this, stating that the application does not generate 100 average daily trips. Therefore, staff did not ask for TIS because it is very clearly not required. Overall, staff has exhausted every avenue available to us to ensure that the applicable sections of the ordinance have been met. Staff has a duty to not delay in providing approval to applications that meet these requirements of the LDR, and as I fully outlined in my response tonight, all of these sections were met. Therefore, the application was stamped in a timely manner so as to remain within the accordance of the subdivision review calendar and state laws timelines. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Does CQRL, would they like the rebuttal period?
I'll say something. Well, I do.
You have 5 minutes. Name and address again, please.
Tamara Dees, 4222 Fork Shoals Road, Simpsonville, 29682. I'm not sure where to start, but the TIS that was mentioned was, from my understanding, just sent yesterday. Am I right? Can I ask a question? So I don't know. We have these regulations in place, which we need these. And I hear, people saying, you know, that you can set aside this regulation because it's not this or it's not that. But when we come to, how many people are here for opposition to Huff Creek RV? So that says something right there. We don't know the laws, the regulations, we can't come up with a rebuttal like that because actually some of the information that's in these articles, I don't even understand. And, you know, there's guide development to meet 1.1 and 1.2. Well, 1.2 talks about intent. And that's put aside because, oh, we've had time to go and get our ducks in a row to go against these things. But it says that it's for the general welfare, you know, to assure the adequate provision of safe and convenient traffic access, to assure the provision of needed public open spaces and building sites and so on, to encourage the development of economically sound and stable counties. I don't feel like we as citizens have been heard, listened to. The one meeting that we came to in July was there was 13 of us that attended. We didn't get to say anything. I'm not sure why we didn't get to appear in the August one, but we haven't said anything until it's approved. And now we have the burden of proof. We have to say, this is not good. We have to go against the regulations, and I don't feel like we've been heard. So there was one thing that we're talking about the density in one of your previous zoning issues there. The question was asked, if it's a rural area, why would we increase the density? I don't understand why that's just ignored now. We have regulations on density, but to an RV park, that doesn't meet those requirements. Why? Why is it okay to put in 123 RVs, but it wouldn't be okay to put in 123 homes or mobile homes? We are concerned also about I'm not here to say what people do, but in any living situation, any subdivision, there is going to be crime. I live right next to the property. My parents, who are 88 years old, their property line, they have a playground for the grandkids that's right there on the line. So I have real concerns about this, but I feel like, well, you know, your life is not laid out in regulations, so therefore you don't get to have a say. So that's kind of how I feel. Anybody else want to take the rest of the time?
I just have a few more things that I wanted to add. The SQRL did request an extension of this. Many of the facts that she had stated when she was bringing up regarding the traffic study, that information was not available at the July meeting. It just became available yesterday from what I did see. And any requests that have been submitted, we haven't had enough time to get that back so that we couldn't bring that to this appeal with you. And regarding the septic tanks, the community space, if we can't have a 5-unit subdivision here, then why should we allow 123 RV units to come into it? And on top of that, with the RV units, and I brought this up with the fire chief that we have in Fort Shoals and with the developer, many of these units are going to have propane tanks on the top of it. Fort Shoals is serviced by a volunteer fire department, and with the response times with the bridge out and this many high-density units being put right directly on top of each other, should there be a serious explosion that occurs at once, it will create a chain reaction, and that will additionally create hazardous materials on the land. It will create a safety issue with the people in those developments, and it will also create a safety issue with our children that are directly across the street.
Expired. Commissioners, I think Mr. Wood would like to say something.
Jimmy Wood. understand staff, appreciate everything y'all do. I don't know all the fancy words that you sent out to us. I'm sure people think when they see me up here, they're like, why is he looking at his phone all the time? It's not really protection, it's everything. Sometimes I have to Google what we're talking about. Trust me now, I don't know everything that they're throwing at us. You know, I've been accused of trying to sell my vote against this to help out my citizens. Others will say, feel as I can feel like that. I bit my tongue. This is a nightmare. I've been accused of that. First time that I was trying to be bought, I called Tuesday. I'm not. Thank you. I just finished up the ethics. All this was on. The minute that I got done with it, I had a person calling me trying to get the last page, which shows all the money that is spent in the county. I called you. Call Logan. So anybody that says I'm trying to sell my vote is full of crap. Period, point blank, bottom line. I stand it. I speak. You're my people. I'm caught in the middle of a storm, and there's a lot more to it than just the RV part. It's precedent. This is the first time. Am I wrong? If we take and do it right, we all got a feeling that the next person will, that we say, no, we don't think you should put 300 homes on 10 acres of land or whatever it is. They're going to appeal and sue everything. That's the whole thing. You know, we have this, we got this, whatever it was. We also sat through a wonderful workshop that Mr. Jackson said, that the VHEC said that septic tanks and runoff is contaminating our water. You're going to put a dump station, and I don't know if you know what a dump station is. Most people do. We're going to take, and I have had a camper. We had a little portable potty thing that you dump, you fecal matter in. You took it over to a big hole. You dumped it down there, and when you got finished, you washed everything out. It just, whatever didn't go into the catch basin, went onto the ground. Next time it rained, down the stream it goes. And I mean, I live there. This is, you know, it probably shouldn't be personal, but it is personal for me. You know, we have been crapped on. Southern Greenville County, half the people do not understand. Moonville's not Southern Greenville County. That's where the big people think of. You know, we, in Southern Greenville County, a long way to go to Princeton. We have no full-time firemen south of the workplace. Zero, nothing. Like she said, if we have a fire, it's all hands on deck. You probably have to fight it with a hose pipe, and I was part of the fire commission before I got here. So I understand everything that you're saying. I'm with you. You know, we have not had the proper coverage. You know, I think this is a horrible idea. The person wants to come back and say, hey, I want to put houses on there. Satisfied, they'd probably be good with it. You know, I would be good with it. But an RV park, think about this right here. Would you want it in your ear, right or wrong? I'm talking to the letter of the law. I agree with you. The letter of the law, it's probably up for grabs on it at best. Would you want it beside you? No, you'd fight like the devil to keep this mess out of your house. You know, I don't see them coming into the city of Greenville. I don't see them going out east and west. Everything's coming south. And we're steady letting it come. We've got to get control of this. You know, I'm not passionate about it. I'm sorry. I'm 100% against it. If it passes, so be it. Y'all folks know that I fought for you. I thank you for showing up. It's our civic duty to start showing up to hold people like myself accountable, make sure that I'm doing what I should. I thank you for your work. I would not want y'all's job for no reason. I don't care what you're making. I would not want it because you're going to make a lot of people mad. You're going to make the developer is going to be the only person that's happy out of this whole outcome. The developer. That's all. But you know, Mr. Chairman, I personally, when it comes time, I'll be the first to make a motion to absolutely 100% deny it. I know we've got to have 5 votes. If I don't have 5 votes, we're still friends. Yeah, that's just that simple. That I'm selling my vote, you call me, and it's not any one of us, but the person knows, I'm sure they're watching and listening to you, they're more than welcome to call me, because I did turn them in on the ethics, and I turned it in to her and to Logan. So that's something, I cannot be bought, I have been promised. All I have to do is make one question to it, and I can have whatever I wanted to. But I'm a new man on the totem pole, not happening. Thank you, I appreciate you, thank you for what you do.
Is your mic on?
Oh, yeah.
Any other comments, commissioners? Mr. Bailey's got a question.
So just to clarify, and this is just kind of, everybody hear me okay?
No.
Speak up. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, so just to clarify, the septic systems are not in play because it's for single-family homes only that the new ordinance applies. RV parks are not.
Mr. Bailey, so, it's really sensitive. So the new ordinance applies to community septic. And so community septic is a system that involves 2 or more lots. So this is by definition not community septic because it's on a single lot. Boy, is that a stretch.
Can't hear you.
Well, they quit talking. So, the specifics here are because they're not individual owner lots, it's occupation. They're occupied,
It's a commercial development.
commercial development, that it doesn't apply to the new parcel.
Correct.
And then on the second item of sightlines, per Kurt Walters, the sightline distance on his calculations is 628 feet, meeting the distance, correct?
Correct.
And can you give me just a little bit more clarification? You spoke about Article 8.1, I'm not that familiar with it. Could you elaborate just a little bit about how that applies to this? I think it was 8.1 or 8.
Maybe 8.8.
8.8.
Is it the purpose section? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I just kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't expect that part to get mentioned, and so when I heard 8 point something, I didn't know that one off the top of my head.
So that section was mentioned in the appellant's claim, saying that the purpose section of Article 8.8, which is access and circulation, has been violated by staff in approving this application. So that section gives the specific purpose of why there's an access and circulation portion, but it doesn't give any any requirements or guidelines for how to apply. So if the section meets the access and circulation requirements found in further sections of Article 8.8, then the purpose section of that is therefore met.
Another way to think of it is staff has authority over Article 15, right, for RV parks. So county council has directly given staff the authority to adjudicate those. They've given you the authority to, receive appeals on staff decisions. But as far as staff's authority, it extends only to the regulations themselves. That's why Megan spent some time talking about Article 1.1, 1.2. She mentioned the comprehensive plan, the South area, South Greenville area plan, and now Article 8.8. All of those things they're great. I mean, I was actually the primary author of the comprehensive plan, so I strongly support it, but none of those things have regulatory authority. And so ultimately the question today is, did staff follow, or comply with the ordinance, and those are the regulations and the requirements, not the preamble, not the intent, the actual regulations. And whether you like the project or you can't stand the project, ultimately the question is, are we following the rules?
So one final question there. Do we have anything that we can hang our hat on as far as, public objections? It meets all the guidelines, hasn't violated the statute, ordinance, but we can clearly tell the public is not enthused by it.
Sure.
Do we have anything there, or even from a safety perspective, as far as, let's just say the parks can be filled with vagrants, people living in RVs and such, do we have anything of that nature to?
No, there's nothing in the ordinance that speaks to that. I
So
will
the
say-
ordinance that this body has passed with, we're not allowed to make up ordinances here, so.
Correct.
Any ordinances that we can